I don't see color. To me, they are just children, and I treat them all the same. Does this sound familiar? As educators, we often say this with good intentions, believing it is the highest form of fairness. But what if I told you that treating everyone the same might actually be the most guaranteed way to exclude some of your students? In this video, we will unpack why equality as sameness is a myth, and how it can damage your students' sense of belonging. We will look at why treating everyone the same might actually be a pedagogy of indifference, and why educators should aim for equity, which means recognizing differences rather than ignoring them. This image is a literal metaphor for Chinga Ramirez's concept of egalitarianism as sameness. On the left, we see the reality of a diverse student body. However, the school acts as a normalization machine. It functions on the belief that, to be equal, a student must act, speak, and behave exactly like the majority. By the time students exist on the right, they have been pressured to assimilate, stripping away the cultural differences that make them unique. This machine represents the pressure for equality as sameness. When students don't fit the specific white, middle-class norm, the system subtly pushes them out. They are forced to internalize a foreigner identity, viewing themselves as incompatible with being a good people, even if they were born and raised in this country. This isn't just a Norwegian issue, it's a global phenomenon. International studies, such as Wagner et al., show that when schools enforce monolingual norms, they practice what Lingard and Caddy call pedagogies of indifference. By doing this, they ignore the structural inequalities students bring to school, effectively blaming them for not fitting the mold. So, why does this matter for your daily teaching? Think of this full battery as a vital psychological source. When a student feels accepted, valued, and recognized, they have the energy to engage and succeed. Your classroom environment is the charger. It's where they find the safety and emotional attachment they need to keep that battery full. Critics of the colorblind approach warn that being rigidly equality-oriented often turns into forced assimilation. We implicitly tell students, I accept you, but only if you leave your culture and language at the door. As shown here, this erasure creates a discriminatory climate that ultimately depletes their school belonging. As you look at this image, notice the low belonging battery. Large-scale PISA research by Baisu et al. Confirms that when students perceive a discriminatory climate, the psychological resource is drained. Now, look at the charts on the right. The data reveals a direct link. When belonging drops, achievement in math and reading declines. Crucially, this affects everyone, not just minority students. Academic performance suffers for both minority and majority students. Research suggests that simply witnessing unfairness lowers the value majority students place on learning and threatens their own sense of safety and fairness. By ignoring difference, we aren't just hurting a few, we are limiting the potential of the entire classroom. So, how do we fix this? We see that the sameness on the left is actually a pedagogy of indifference that silences students. To create the environment on the right, we must shift our focus from assimilation to recognition, where we actively value difference instead of ignoring it. Let's look at the first reflection prompt, inspired by Wagner et al. We are looking at the tension between two very different worlds of teaching. On the left, we see the deficit view. Here, strict monolingual ideologies build a wall. When we enforce English-only similar policies, we are focusing on a student's shortcomings rather than their potential. We unintentionally treat their home language as an inconvenience that needs to be pushed out of the classroom. Now, look to the right. This is the resource view. Here, languages aren't kept invisible or compartmentalized. Instead, we see the student's multilingualism as a toolbox, a rich set of skills. Diversity becomes the norm, not the exception. By moving from the wall to the bridge, we stop marking students as unfitting and instead create a space for deep cultural expression and true belonging. So ask yourself this week to confront those unconscious hierarchies. Do I view my students' home language as a deficit and a problem to be fixed, or as a powerful resource to be used? On the left, look at the classroom-marked superficial view. We see what Ladder et al. And Me Too call couscous pedagogy, or the 3 S's. Notice the Culture Day and Party Day banners. This represents liberal pluralism. We celebrate difference, but only as an exotic event. Students eating tacos and samosas or wearing traditional dress for a special occasion. It essentializes students and treats their culture as a spectacle. Chivitillo et al. And Lander et al. Argue this approach leads to othering. Now, shift your focus to the right side, the integrated view. This is critical multiculturalism. Here, we don't wait for a party to acknowledge diversity. We use what Lingard and Caddy call productive pedagogies. Look closely at the whiteboard. The teacher is explaining a standard core concept, farming and agriculture, but she isn't just using a generic textbook example. She is teaching about farming in arid regions and explicitly connecting it to places like Somalia and Afghanistan. This is not tokenism, it is intellectual work. Research shows that when students see their funds of knowledge deeply integrated into the academic lesson, seeing their heritage reflected in a geography lesson rather than just a lunch menu, they sit up and take notice. So, the question posed at the bottom of the image is vital. Are you practicing superficial multiculturalism, only celebrating food and festivals, or are you connecting their lived reality to the core curriculum every day? Inclusive pedagogy means validating their identities within the rigorous learning process, not just on special occasions. To conclude, equality is not about erasing differences to make everyone the same. It is about recognizing differences to ensure everyone belongs. Next time you enter your classroom, ask yourself, am I teaching to a normal standard that doesn't exist, or am I engaging with the lived realities of the unique human beings in front of me? Let's move from indifference to recognition. Thank you for watching.